house. And ladies, we would not have been here in the back of the brother's house in 1900. We would have been, if we were not married, we would have been over here in single sister's house. Single sister's house was where the single sisters stayed, and they also had the 14-year-olds, just like the brothers did, have their 14-year-olds, and they would continue their education and live here. The boarding school that was run is right here. Now, both of these buildings today belong to Salem College, as does Main Hall. Starting right here is Home Moravian Church, the church that many of us attend. The church itself was the only thing, was built in 1800, and by 1900 they had added a wing, and then later on they added a space they added a building back here that was a Christian education building. If you travel up, this area right here, this little house right here would have been taken down, and that would have been part of the Christian education building. The two houses right next door, this one belonged to the assistant minister, and this would have belonged to the minister. Prior to that, Brother Steiner, who was a furniture maker, owned this house. And if we travel up, we've made it to the doctor's houses. This is Dr. Veerling, and Dr. Veerling ran a apothecary as well as doctor. He was married to Dr. Seaver's daughter, and Dr. Seaver's lived right here. Dr. Seaver's lived in Cedarhurst. Cedarhurst is still standing. He had a fascination with castles, and so while he was traveling through Germany, he found this one, came back and modified it to fit into Salem. It now houses the offices of the Southern Province of the Moravian Church. So traveling down in this direction, you would go into God's Acre. And there were some deer playing there earlier tonight. Are there some deer still there, everybody?
Yes, there are.
They love to frolic through the snow. What can we say? And as you turn the corner, you're going to see the first houses that are built in Salem. In this corner, why they're out of order, I have never been told, but this would have been the second house. It burned, and so they wanted to put something there that represented the house, and so they put a base. And so that's the second house, and then beside of it, and these houses are still standing in their private residence. But first house, third house, fourth house, and fifth house. Across from them is Colonel Belo's house. Colonel Belo ran a foundry. And if you're going out towards the teapot or the coffee pot tonight, you will pass Colonel Belo's house and look for the where they tied the horses off, the horse posts. Those are the original pieces that he made in his foundry. He had his house was a 3-story house. It houses apartments today, but his house was a 3-story house, and his foundry was on the bottom level, his family on the top level, on the second level, and then his employees on the third. And as I mentioned a minute ago, Cape Fear Bank sat right here. Cape Fear Bank was bought later on and became Wachovia. And Wachovia was also based off of what the Moravians called the 100,000 acres that they bought. And it was called Wacha. So this would have been, this is the house this is the archives building. And then we have privately owned homes coming down in this direction. When you go to here, this is Brother Butner's house, and sitting beside Brother Butner's house, right on that corner right there, is his hat shop. And then you have Brother Schroeder right here, and Brother Schroeder was tailor. And if you notice as you walk through Salem, if you've done a walking tour before, of the real Old Salem, they have, it's just like in Williamsburg, they have their profession hanging, so you know exactly what they do. Brother Mish lived here, and he was a tobacconist. Right across here is Winkler Bakery. And when you come across here, this would have been the boys' school, and the boys would have lived at home and attended this school until they moved across to where we are tonight, the single brother's house. And we are in, as I said before, the sub-basement. Now going up in this direction was the chief inspector's house and some of the offices of Salem College. Here is Main Hall, we talked about that, and we have a band playing in the square tonight. You can see that. We have one lady who seems to be sitting by herself enjoying the band. We have the fountain here. This fountain has been moved back behind Salem College, and we have that in the back of Salem College. This is the firehouse, And Salem had the first set of fire engines. They were horse-drawn, but they had the first set of fire engines in North Carolina. And again, this is the brother's house. We go down in this direction. This is John Vogler's house. He was a clockmaker as well as a, oh no, I'm wrong about that. I'm going this way. This is book and gift shop. Okay, so this would have been a mercantile store. Here was John Vogler's house. And behind his house was Anna Katrina. Anna Katrina was, well, let's just say that they wouldn't leave her alone. She had to get, she lost her first husband. She remarried. She lost her second husband. She remarried. She lost her third husband, and she said, done. So she went to John Vogler and said, you got this nice space in your backyard, can I build a house here? And so, thus, Anna Katrina's house. So John Vogler was a clocksmith as well as a silversmith. His brother, Christoph, was a gun maker, and Brother Schultz is a shoemaker. This is the Bloom's Almanac, and across here is the Zevely property, and they built much later on the Zevely Hotel, which did burn at one point, and now they have a portion of it that has remained, and it's now a bed and breakfast. Right here is right here is the oh gosh, the I am absolutely going brain dead of what I was getting ready to say because I jumped ahead of myself. Okay, this is the inn, and George Washington slept here for 2 nights. Yes. The tavern, thank you. And I learned something when I went into the tavern one night. Do you know that the word bar came from, they would put bars in front and they would pass the drinks out so nobody could get to break into it to get anything to drink. Thus the word bar. Wow. And in the tavern, you had some single rooms, but a lot of these rooms, they had maybe 4 men in a bed. And so one of the sayings, good night, sleep tight, and don't let the bed bugs bite. Bed bugs from people that didn't bathe very often. And in addition to that, if you put 4 people in the bed and it's tied off by ropes, just a mattress, no box springs, they had to keep twisting and turning them to keep them supported, or they sagged in the middle and everybody rolled this way. Love this kind of stuff. I'm such a nerd. So down in this direction, you're going down into the community. We finish up at the Miller's business, and I think the wheel is turning tonight, so we know he's still working. And then up in this direction, we have 2 representations of our first African American church. First one was built as a log cabin. It has been rebuilt today, and it's on the tour. And then this is the newer of the 2 buildings, which was still built in 1800, and this is St. Philip's Church. Coming up, we're traveling all back into, here's the tinsmith shop and his home, and we're coming on back this way, and you can see that we have cows that have escaped from the Zevely pasture, and they've managed to walk into the square. We have one brother that has lost not just 1 wheel, but 4 wheels of his wagon. And everybody, what do you think these little tiny houses are that have all these little footprints that keep going back and forth?
Unnecessary.
The unnecessary houses, because they were. And the brother's house, look at this, 2-seater. Too close for comfort is what I say. Too close for comfort. The trees are electrical wires that are pushed up through the styrofoam base. But as I said, this is truly a labor of love, but we love it. It's a great scene, and it's a great representation of what Salem would have looked like at this particular time.